So after getting mercied for the 12th time in a row in Iron Banner, I decided to take a long break from the Crucible, which I've started to get back into recently, for an hour or two and decided to, take a good long look at things. I remember a time period where mercy rulings weren't as common as they are now in both casual and Iron Banner. And it was there I came to the realization that I really started to just hate the Crucible when skill-based matchmaking was taken out of the game. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when they announced that connection-based matchmaking was going to be the basis, I was celebrating, like everyone else. Not because the Crucible was going to be less sweaty, as other people were calling it, but that I'd stop matching with Koreans and the Chinese. Look, I love that the gaming community is international, but getting killed by a guy that you saw first, shot first, and did everything first against and should have gotten the easy kill, just because his lag is that terrible, really sucks. On top of that, critics of skill-based matchmaking made all kinds of claims of how the Crucible will be far better with people not needing to try so hard and can have casual fun. The meta isn't such a must-use thing, and that finally we can go back to primaries being the bread and butter of showing off skill. Well, guess what? None of that happened. People still are tryhard as hell, everyone still runs just the meta weapons, and people still are spending entire games using nothing but specials. Now let's come down a bit and back up. What was the Crucible like when people were calling for skill-based matchmaking to be removed? Well, it was not that great. There were way too many overpowered weapons like Mindbenders, Mountaintop, and Erentil that were just running around at the time. Crucible also wasn't very rewarding for the most part, and to this day still isn't that most rewarding, besides with, Shax himself and his rewards. Iron Banner was rarely dropping 60 plus stat armor, making your time feel pointless, with the majority of the weapons being mediocre at best. Now, the armor problem couldn't be addressed in, this very particular scenario, but anti-skill based matchmaking players and content creators were going off about how the Crucible would be much less meta-focused and be more casual and able to go for any loadout to succeed. The problem is that they were entirely ignoring that you could have a casual experience back in the skill-based matchmaking days while running non-meta loadouts, some of which would eventually become meta. I mean, remember when sidearms were garbage tier until people realized that Drang and aggressives were actually low-key good? Nah, I do. Anyway, the anti-skill-based matchmaking proponents said that it would lessen the need to use meta weapons because it would be less sweaty. Well, guess what? Everyone is still rocking 120 RPM hand cannons now. People were running 600 RPM auto rifles before that, and 150 RPM hand cannons before that, etc., etc. Despite skill-based matchmaking being removed in Season of Arrivals, people still are running meta loadouts. It's almost as if there's certain weapons that will help you win far easier and people like to win? I mean, how many Trials matches did you play, or let's be really honest, jumped off the cliffs in, where you saw almost everyone running Fellwinters, Astral Horizon, before I got nerfed, and Thorn? This idea that people will magically give up their meta loadouts was stupid when I first started hearing it, and it's still stupid now. People are going to run the most successful loadouts because they're successful. Does that mean that you must stick to the meta? No, you didn't have to then, and you don't have to now. I've never really done it myself, beyond maybe a couple of hand cannons, and usually on top of the board in games. Even Destiny Tracker says that I'm apparently in the top 5 in quick play, and in the top 10% in Iron Banner. Although I guess now I'm not technically running a totally non-meta loadout since I've started using Dead Man's Tale and haven't been able to put it down since I got the Catalyst. It's so good. It's so good. And the stupid thing here is that there wasn't any reason whatsoever that we couldn't have both. Skill-based matchmaking that takes into account of regions of which you're getting matchmaking pools around the world has been a thing for over a decade now. Even mediocre developers like Valve, despite all their problems, are able to incorporate skill-based matchmaking that makes sure that you match with people in your general region. Code-wise, it's really not that hard at all. It's a simple if TTT8T scenario, or otherwise known as if this then that and that scenario. In this example, if this player is in this skill range, match him up with other players in said skill range and make sure the tick rate is no more than X number. That's it. It's really as simple as that. I mean, it's not dead simple. Programming that algorithm is somewhat hard, but any first-year networking student can program that pull to work. Yet Bungie apparently can do only one or the other. Why can't American players be matched against other American players of similar skill level? Why does it have to open the floodgates to everyone in the world? Yeah, it really diversifies the people you play against, but it also screwed with the connection, and that was the major problem that people were having. Now, if Bungie really can't do both, then might I suggest going back to the old days of Control and Iron Banner being skill-based matchmaking and Action Sack returning with connection-based matchmaking being the priority, along with every other playlist. Trials, honestly, is a whole other discussion that I'll admit I'm not equipped to talk about when it comes to matchmaking debate here, and in the recent State of Destiny, apparently it's getting changed anyway, so there's no point in talking about it. And I know what you're probably going to say. The majority of people are still going to go into Control like they did back when Action Sack was still around. And you're not wrong, the majority did. But I don't think it's because people didn't like Action Sack. I think it's because casual players didn't even know about the connection-based matchmaking that was there. Action Sack was this tiny little button along a myriad of other tiny buttons that was confusing and dividing the community. While right there, the two largest buttons were competitive and control. If Action Sack was also a big button that popped up a menu that made it very clear that Action Sack was to be a casual experience that was connection-based, while Control was skill-based, people would finally, I think, get it. Let Control be the medium-level Crucible, while Action Sack be the casual experience. Plus, come on, how many of us are bored of Control and want to play Clash or Supremacy every now and then, instead of waiting weekly for Bungie to grace us with different game modes? Anyway, let Control be there to hone people's skills and teach them how to properly play Iron Banner while still offering a lighter, less oppressing experience. Let Action Sack be where people go to have fun, try different loadouts, and get some diversity in the PvP side of things. Combine that with making a freelance mode for every single game mode, then I think things would get a lot better and far healthier. That's it for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow on Twitter and Twitch, and go watch Skate the Infinity. No, seriously. Go watch it. It's on Funimation. It's really good.